Good morning, guys. Welcome back to the Prima Advanced User Forum. This is Chris from the Prima US team, and today we're going to be going over managing cost prices in Prima. We're going to take a look at our catalogs and updating the best price files, looking at some of those costs, as well as managing the different cost settings in Prima. If you have any questions during the presentation, Kelly will be in the chat to answer those questions. And then, as always, at the end, we'll have a Q&A session to answer any additional questions. And all right, I think we'll just go ahead and get started here. So the first thing we're going to want to take a look at is the catalogs. So we'll go over to publications and then catalogs. We can look at some of the prices in there. Of course, in this section, you'll see the list of all the catalogs you have available, as well as over on the right side, you'll be able to see the last time any terms were applied to the catalog. We'll talk about terms in a little bit. But for now, we'll just go ahead and open up this ascendant catalog here. And we'll open up any old item here. All right, so in the catalog item, if you look on the lower right side over here, you're going to see this previous date and this previous information sections here. So this previous information is going to tell you the last time the price, or I should say the method used to update the price most recently. The cost price is going to be over here on the left. And in this case, it looks like a terms file was applied. Again, I'll show you what a terms file is in a minute. But let's say this was updated by maybe a best price file. That'll be, this will show, updated by best price file, of course. And the previous date is, of course, the last time the price was updated. For the Ascendant catalogs, I think the best price file comes in once a day. And then for something like SP Richards, it comes in, I think, maybe once a month. But the important thing about this date here is that it won't update this date if the cost price is the same. So let's say like a daily best price file comes in, but the cost stays the same. It's $12.51. The date will not update. This date will stay the same until the any update changes the cost, if that makes sense. And then, of course, the cost from this catalog here will pull through to the product. And then, speaking of best price files here, the SBR one updates maybe once a month. And so, let's say you wanted to update that more frequently. To do that manually, to update the best price file manually, what you can do is we'll head over to the SB Richards company. And then once in the company, in this supplier tab up top here, you're going to see the best price file upload section right here. So what that's going to do, it's going to allow you to select a file from your computer. You're going to go onto SB Richards' site and download the latest best price file. You can do this, of course, daily, weekly, bi-monthly, on whatever basis you choose. This will just take a look at your computer here. And once you save the best price file from SP Richards' site onto your computer, you can select it and upload it. You're able to keep the format the same. I believe you don't have to make any changes when you when you update it. The upload will accept the standard SP Richards format. So that's updating the best price file manually. Another option for updating the prices from your catalog is going to be a terms file. I talked about that a little bit earlier. So to do that, it's going to be over here in publications and then terms. So we have a terms template as well as step-by-step instructions available on the FreshDesk site. But in general, there's a terms template that you upload your information to. It's going to be the item code and then just the cost and the sell price. You're going to import that using the EDI import feature. We can show you how that works as well. But up top, once you import it, it's going to show you the name of the Excel file you imported. And then the second section right here is going to show you the like a preview of the information you're about to import from that file. I just put on 2 items here as an example. And then from here at the bottom, you can see we can update the catalog entries, select our particular catalog. We can update the any mailers we have or the vendor records that we have on the in the product page as well. But in this case, let's say we downloaded similar to a best price file, just have a list of all of our items. We can update the cost and the recommended selling price here as well. And then we can just apply it to any catalog we choose. All we would have to do is hit this apply terms to catalog. And so in addition to the best price file and catalog updates, you may get your pricing from a pact on a customer's on a customer's contract. To take a look at all the packs that you have available, what you can do is go to the contract search up here in contracts and then contracts. We can hit this blue bar up at the top here. And then in this option drop down, we can select pact. And so what that's going to do, it's going to show you all of the packs that we have on file, as well as if they're on a contract, if they're shared, etc. We'll just take a look at this first one. We'll head over to the packed list tab up at the top here. And so up at the top, you'll see the pack reference will fill in here, as well as the share button will be here. But in this case, it looks like this company is sharing a pact with another company. So what we can do is we can hit this jump to pact button instead, and that'll open up the other contract where this company's pact is being shared from. So the original pact is going to be here. As you can see, the pact reference is filled in this time. The share button, if you wanted to share this pact with other companies, so you don't have to set it up multiple times, you can ship that. You can share that from here, as well as you can see the items on the pact, and then down at the bottom, of course, you can see the cost price, the last date the pact was modified, as well as when it was modified by. So that's a little bit about packs. Something else we wanted to show you guys today was the different cost settings we can see in the product. So if we take a look at that over there, we'll go over to stock and then products. And I have a product code for us to use today. So on the lower left side here, you have pricing method. So these 4 options are going to be your different pricing methods, your cost pricing methods, I should say here. The first one is going to be manual. What manual is going to do is it's going to look at the product units and pricing tab for your cost. And it's going to be a manually set cost. So it's not going to take into account any best price file updates or anything coming in from a PO. It's going to look at your actual cost setting here as well as your landed cost, and it's going to use that every time. So the manual setting is going to be best used for something like your own codes where you want to keep strict strict measurements on what your costs are going to be. Another option here is going to be preferred vendor last price. So what that's going to do is going to look at your preferred vendor over here in your vendors area and take that cost into account. It's going to automatically select that preferred vendor when you add this item to a sales order or a quote. Again, the cost in the product unit and pricing tab up in here will be updated by any best price files that come in. Um, if it's on a PO, it will also update the cost should the cost be different on that PO to keep your costs as up to date as possible. And so the preferred vendor last price option is going to be best used for all your cataloged items that maybe you don't keep in stock that you purchase every time. Another option is cheapest vendor. So what that's going to do is it's going to look at all of the vendors that you have available over here on the vendors button. If we open that up, it'll compare all of the costs we have listed and select the cheapest vendor when you're adding it onto a quote or an order. It'll always select the cheapest cost. Also, it's also important to keep in mind that this tick mark right here, include in cheapest calculation, must be ticked to obviously include in that calculation. So if you ever wanted to exclude maybe this vendor from that cheapest calculation, we can untick this button here and it will ignore this option when deciding which vendor is cheapest. And then the last option right here is going to be fluctuating on actual cost. What that's going to do is going to look at your stock that you have available, and it's going to calculate an average price based on the quantity that you have available as well as the batches that you have left. So this is going to be best used if you keep this item in stock regularly. It'll take the stock that you use instead of maybe it'll take the cost of the stock you use, I should say, instead of what it would be if you purchased it, for example. So this will be best used for items that you keep in stock normally. If you don't have anything in stock with this setting, it'll revert back to preferred vendor last price. It'll use that method. So I'll take a preferred vendor last price here for now. And let's take a look at a quote to see that in action. Put on any company here. We'll put on our product. And then as we're adding on our product, you can see the supplier drop down. If we open that up, you can see all the suppliers we have available. And then in parentheses, you can also see the cost associated with each one. Since we ticked preferred vendor last price, it'll automatically fill in the our preferred vendor, which is Ascendant in this case. But for example, if you chose the cheapest vendor, it might look at all of these and decide which one is cheapest, which might be Suppliers Network, it looks like right here. That's how that's going to work. But of course, you always have the option to change the supplier as you see fit. We'll just pick Ascendant in this case. And we'll hit Add and Jump to take a look at the Lines tab. Our cost will, of course, fill in up at the top here. But down here, we have supplier cost prices. If we look at this tab here, it will again show us all of the vendors that we have available, as well as all of the costs that we can take a look at. So of course, you'll always have the option to change them if you need to. If we had multiple ascendant accounts, for example, it will display each ascendant account as a separate line. If we scroll over to the right here, you'll see the account number it takes into account. Again, if we had multiple accounts, it would just show separate lines for each account. And if we also had a pact set up with this customer and these items, it will also show a line for the pact cost. And okay, I think that's everything we wanted to show you guys today.